Okay, so next up we have the division of rational functions. So the first thing you want to do is check and see if anything can be factored, and for that first example, nothing can be factored. Then we go ahead and state our restrictions. So x cannot equal -6, okay? Now, when you are dividing fractions, how we divide fractions is we flip the second fraction and multiply. So we're going to go ahead and just flip this, keep the first fraction the same, flip the second fraction and multiply. And at this point, I need to do two things. I need to first check restrictions again, because if you look, this guy got switched. So now I have an extra restriction. So I should do that before I do any canceling. So the next thing I do is look for canceling, and what I can cancel is if I have the same factor on the top as the bottom, which I do, I have this and this. So I'm just left with x plus 2 over x minus 3. So that's how I divide rational functions. It's just the same as multiplication, but one extra step, and we have to consider the restriction situation. So if we look at this one, I said the first thing we should do is factors. So this is some factoring that has to be done. So this factors to be x plus 3 and x minus 2. Go ahead and do greatest common factor here. So 3x and x minus 1. So before I do anything else, I should start stating my restrictions, so looking at the denominator. So I have a restriction at 1, and a restriction at 0, another restriction at 1, I don't need to list it again. Now I can go ahead and flip and multiply. So I always flip the second fraction. And at this point, I look to see if I can cancel anything. And anything that can be canceled is something I have in common in the top and the bottom. So top and bottom, top and bottom. So I'm just left with 3x over x plus 3. I did something bad though. I canceled before I stated my second set of restrictions. So before I cancel, I should look, because look, I have two extra restrictions now, -3 and 2. So that is how you divide rational functions. Factor if necessary, state restrictions, flip and multiply, cancel anything that is common between the top and the bottom, but before you cancel, state those second set of restrictions.